You're scrolling through your phone, maybe late at night, maybe during your lunch break, and you see it. That jacket, those sneakers, that new gadget everyone's talking about. And something clicks in your brain. You need it. Not want it, need it. Your thumb is already hovering over the buy button. You've got the money in your account. You worked hard this week. You deserve this. And before you can even finish that thought, it's done. Order confirmed. Shipping in 2 days. Then, 3 weeks later, that jacket is hanging in your closet with the tags still on. Those sneakers, worn once. That gadget is sitting in a drawer next to all the other gadgets you absolutely had to have. And here's the part that stings. You check your bank account and wonder where all your money went. You make decent money. You're not irresponsible. So why does it feel like you're running on a financial treadmill, working harder and harder but never actually getting anywhere? If that sounds familiar, stick around. Because today we're talking about a simple rule that costs nothing to implement, takes almost no effort, and according to behavioral economists, could save the average person over $12,000 a year. It's called the 72-hour rule, and it's the invisible line that separates people who build wealth from people who just build Amazon order histories. My name is James, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart people make dumb decisions with money. If you're someone who earns a decent income but still feels broke by the end of every month, or if you've ever looked at your spending and thought, I don't even know where it all goes, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Because what I'm about to share isn't complicated, but it might genuinely change your financial life. Here's the thing about money that nobody wants to admit. The reason most people stay broke has almost nothing to do with how much they earn. I know that sounds controversial. We've been taught our whole lives that the solution to money problems is more money. Get a raise, get a better job, start a side hustle. And look, income matters. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. But here's what most people don't realize. According to a study from the National Endowment for Financial Education, nearly 70% of lottery winners go broke within 5 years. These are people who receive millions of dollars overnight, more money than most of us will ever see in our lifetimes. And they still ended up back where they started, or worse. So if more money isn't the answer, what is? The answer is the gap between impulse and action. That tiny window of time between when you want something and when you actually buy it. And for most people, that gap is basically non-existent. We live in an economy that has been specifically engineered to eliminate that gap entirely. One-click purchasing. Buy now, pay later. Same-day delivery. Every single one of these innovations exists for one reason, and it's not to make your life more convenient. It's to prevent you from thinking. Now you might be thinking, James, I'm not some mindless consumer. I think about my purchases. And I believe you believe that. But let me share something that might change your perspective. Research from the Journal of Consumer Psychology found that the average purchase decision for items under $50 takes less than 4 seconds. 4 seconds. You spend more time deciding what to watch on TV than you do deciding whether to spend your hard-earned money. And for online purchases specifically, the decision time drops even lower because the friction has been completely removed from the process. This is where it gets interesting. Your brain has 2 systems for making decisions. Psychologists call them System 1 and System 2. System 1 is fast, automatic, emotional. It's the part of your brain that sees those sneakers and immediately starts rationalizing why you need them. System 2 is slow, deliberate, logical. It's the part that calculates whether you can actually afford something and whether it aligns with your financial goals. Here's the problem. Retailers know about these 2 systems, and every single aspect of modern shopping has been designed to keep System 2 asleep while System 1 drives your wallet straight off a cliff. Limited time offers, flash sales, only 3 left in stock. These aren't random marketing tactics. They're psychological weapons designed to trigger urgency and bypass your rational brain entirely. So, what's the 72-hour rule? It's disarmingly simple. Before you make any non-essential purchase, you wait 72 hours. That's it. You don't say no. You don't deprive yourself. You just pause. You put the item in your cart or on a wish list, and you walk away for 3 days. If you still want it after 72 hours, you buy it guilt-free. If you've forgotten about it, or if the desire has faded, you just saved yourself money without any willpower required. Now look, I know what some of you are thinking. 72 hours? That seems extreme. What if the sale ends? And this is exactly the kind of objection that keeps people broke. Let me break down what's really happening when you feel that urgency. A study from MIT found that sale prices trigger the same dopamine response in your brain as actually receiving a reward. Read that again. You haven't bought anything yet, you haven't received any value, but your brain is already celebrating because it thinks it's about to get a deal. This is why you feel physically uncomfortable when you see a sale ending. Your brain literally experiences it as losing something, even though you never had it in the first place. This is called loss aversion, and it's one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. We feel the pain of losing something about twice as intensely as we feel the pleasure of gaining something of equal value. Retailers know this, so they manufacture artificial scarcity and time limits to trigger your loss aversion and push you into buying before your rational brain can catch up. The 72-hour rule breaks this cycle. It gives your System 2 brain time to wake up and ask the important questions. Can I actually afford this? Do I have something similar already? Will this matter to me in a month? In a year? Let me give you some real numbers because I think this makes the concept much more concrete. The average American household spends about $18,000 per year on non-essential purchases. That's according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Now, multiple studies on impulse spending suggest that between 40 and 60% of all purchases are unplanned. Let's be conservative and say 50%. That means roughly $9,000 per year is going to purchases that weren't planned or intentional. Now here's where the 72-hour rule comes in. Research on cooling off periods shows that the desire to purchase a non-essential item decreases by about 60% after just 24 hours. After 72 hours, that number jumps even higher. People report that they no longer want to buy the item in about 70 to 80% of cases. So let's do the math. If you're spending $9,000 on impulse purchases and the 72-hour rule eliminates 70% of those purchases, that's $6,300 saved per year. And that's being conservative. Some researchers put the savings even higher, but let's stick with $6,300. That's over $500 a month. That's your car payment. That's a nice vacation every year. That's an extra retirement contribution that, invested over 20 years at a 7% return, would grow to over $250,000. $250,000 from just waiting 3 days before you buy things, from doing literally nothing except pausing. Here's what most people don't realize about wealthy people. It's not that they don't want nice things. It's not that they're naturally more disciplined. Studies show that wealthy individuals actually experience the same initial impulses as everyone else. The difference is in the gap between impulse and action. They've built systems that create space for their rational brain to participate in spending decisions. Warren Buffett is famous for living in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. That's not because he can't afford a bigger house. He could buy a small island. It's because he's internalized a rule about the gap between wanting and having. He once said that the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. The 72-hour rule is a systematic way of saying no without relying on willpower. And that's crucial, because willpower is a terrible financial strategy. Research from Case Western Reserve University showed that willpower is a finite resource. It depletes throughout the day. It's weakened by stress, by hunger, by decision fatigue. If you're relying on willpower to control your spending, you're setting yourself up to fail every time you're tired, stressed, or had a bad day at work, which, let's be honest, is most of us, most of the time. The 72-hour rule doesn't require willpower. It requires a system, and systems beat willpower every single time. Now, I want to address something because I know some of you are already thinking about it. James, isn't this just about depriving yourself? Isn't life supposed to be enjoyable? And I want to be really clear here. The 72-hour rule is not about deprivation. It's not about living like a monk or never buying anything fun. It's about making sure that the things you buy actually bring you joy, instead of just providing a momentary dopamine hit that fades before the package even arrives. Here's a concept from psychology that changed how I think about spending. It's called the hedonic treadmill. Research shows that the happiness boost we get from a new purchase returns to baseline incredibly quickly, usually within a few days to a few weeks. That new car smell fades, the excitement of those shoes wears off, and then we're left searching for the next purchase to chase that feeling again. The 72-hour rule interrupts this cycle. It forces you to distinguish between purchases that will actually improve your life and purchases that are just chasing a feeling. And here's what's wild. When you do buy something after waiting 72 hours, you often enjoy it more. Because you've made a deliberate choice. You've confirmed that this is something you actually want, not just something you impulse grabbed. There's no buyer's remorse, no guilt, just genuine satisfaction with a decision you made intentionally. Let me give you a real example of how this plays out. Let's say you see a new pair of headphones for $200. Your current headphones work fine, but these new ones have great reviews and they're on sale. Your immediate impulse says, buy them now before the sale ends. Instead, you apply the 72-hour rule. You add them to your cart and walk away. Day 1, you're still thinking about them. You watch some review videos. You convince yourself you really do need better audio quality. Day 2, you think about them less. You notice your current headphones sound pretty good actually. You start wondering if you really need to spend $200. Day 3, you've almost forgotten about them. When you do remember, you realize you don't really care that much. The sale has ended, but so has your desire to buy. You just saved $200 without any struggle, without any deprivation, without any feeling of missing out. And that $200 is now available for something that actually matters to you, whether that's investing, paying down debt, or a future purchase that you genuinely want after 72 hours of consideration. Now look, I want to give you some practical ways to implement this, because understanding a concept and actually living it are two different things. First, remove payment information from your online accounts. This creates friction. It gives you time. When you have to actually get up, find your wallet, and type in your card number, you're giving your rational brain a chance to participate. Second, create a wish list system. Every time you want to buy something, add it to a list with the date. Set a reminder for 72 hours later. If you still want it, buy it. If not, delete it. After a few months, look at that list and see how many items you thought you absolutely needed but completely forgot about. It's eye-opening. Third, calculate the true cost. Take your hourly wage after taxes. Divide the price of the item by that number. That $60 shirt isn't $60. It's 4 hours of your life if you make $15 an hour after taxes. That $200 gadget is a full day and a half of work. Would you trade a day and a half of your life for this? If yes, buy it. If that makes you hesitate, wait the 72 hours. Fourth, find an accountability partner. Tell someone about this rule. Share your wish list with them. Having to explain a purchase to someone else engages your rational brain in a way that thinking alone doesn't. Fifth, and this is important, set a threshold. The 72-hour rule doesn't have to apply to every purchase. Decide on an amount that's significant enough to matter. Maybe it's $50, maybe it's $100, maybe it's $20. It depends on your income and your goals. But set a clear line so you know when the rule applies. Here's something that surprised me when I started implementing this rule. It's not just about the money you save, it's about the mental space you recover. When you're constantly making impulsive purchases, you're constantly dealing with the aftermath, checking your bank account anxiously, dealing with returns, making space for things you don't need, feeling guilty about spending. All of this takes mental energy, energy that could be going toward building something meaningful. When you break the impulse spending cycle, you get back more than money. You get back peace of mind. You get back clarity about what you actually value. You get back the feeling of being in control of your life, instead of being controlled by your impulses. And that brings me to the deeper point I want to make. The 72-hour rule isn't really about money at all. It's about living intentionally. It's about reclaiming your autonomy from a system that's designed to manipulate you into buying things you don't need. With money, you don't have to impress people you don't like. Every time you pause and wait, You're not just saving money, you're exercising your ability to choose consciously. You're proving to yourself that you're not a puppet being jerked around by marketing and algorithms. You're building the muscle of intentionality that applies to every area of your life. Not just finances, but health, relationships, career decisions. The gap between impulse and action is where freedom lives, and the 72-hour rule is how you build that gap. So here's my challenge to you. For the next 30 days, implement this rule. Every non-essential purchase over your threshold amount waits 72 hours. Keep track of what you would have bought impulsively. At the end of the month, add up the money you didn't spend on things you no longer wanted. I think you'll be shocked, not just at the amount, but at how little you miss those things you thought you needed. And that realization, that you can live happily without constant consumption, is worth more than any dollar amount you save. Because wealth isn't really about how much money you have. It's about having options. It's about freedom. It's about not being a slave to impulses that serve everyone's interests except your own. The 72-hour rule is how you start taking that freedom back, one pause at a time. If this video changed how you think about spending, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me what purchase you're going to apply this rule to first, and I'll see you in the next one.